What's up everybody, I'm Brett Caramella and today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Pocket Osmo. I'm going to kick a little flow, so here we go. So the Pocket Osmo is finally here. It was announced at New York City's event called Because Life is Big. So rather than making a ton of YouTube videos, I'd rather make one YouTube video with all the information that you guys need to know. So that's what I attempted to do in this video. So if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel so it can help me make more videos like this in order for you to make the best decision for you and show you how to use this new DJI device. So I'm going to start with all the specs, then I'm going to go into the features, and as we go along, I'm going to give you my opinion, show you some B-roll of how it's used, in order to give you a very comprehensive look at the Osmo Pocket. Alright, so when you unbox the Osmo, it comes with a nice little case. It comes with some small pamphlets. One of them is the Osmo Shield, which is insurance for the Osmo Pocket. It includes a wristband for the case, so you can just carry it around your wrist, which is nice and convenient so you don't drop it like your cell phone. It's going to come with a USB cable to USB-C cable. It's also going to have a lightning adapter so you can mount that right into your phone and use the DJI Memo App. What I do like about starting the Osmo Pocket is, as opposed to the other Osmos that you have to attach with your phone and get into the app, with the other Osmos it takes about 60 to 90 seconds really to start it up and start shooting. But the Osmo Pocket's only a few seconds. So it's going to be a lot better for running and gunning and for vlogging. Now, not only is the Osmo Pocket versatile because you can use it in so many different ways, but you also can record in many different ways. You can record onto the micro SD card with just the Osmo Pocket, or you can connect it to your phone and record all the footage that you're shooting onto your actual phone. So you have two ways of recording, which is great. The people who want to record on their phone, cool. If you want to record it onto the SD card, you can do that as well. All right, so let's start looking at the gimbal camera, the unit itself. There's no surprise there. It's 12 megapixels with a 1/2.3 inch sensor. We kind of expected that. The maximum image size is going to be 4,000 by 3,000 pixels. The field of view is going to be 80 degrees. It has a very fast f2.0 lens, which is going to be very helpful in low light, and for anything that's moving, letting in a lot of light, having that fast glass is really nice. Now you're going to be able to take panoramic shots, time lapse, motion lapse, and I'm going to talk about that more in depth later in this video. Much like the GoPro, it is able to shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, which is a step up from the other Osmos that were only able to do 4K at 30 frames per second. And that's something that even the Mavic 2 doesn't do. Now, all those specs aside, the one that really counts that I'm excited about is the bit rate at 100 megabytes per second. I'm glad they didn't make it at 50 or 60 megabytes per second, because that would have been more like the other Osmos and more like the Mavic Pro. All right, they stepped it up to 100 megabytes per second. So in non-pixel peeping geek talk, that basically means you're gonna get really, really great video quality out of this sensor. And because of this, I wouldn't be surprised if the footage is actually better than the GoPro Hero 7 Black. You're going to be able to record in MP4, which is kind of universal, or maybe more geared toward PC users, and also MOV, which is more geared towards Apple users. The quality is going to be the same with either one, so don't worry about that. You can shoot at codec of H.264. It doesn't have H.265, but to me, that's not really a huge deal. Most people use H.264 and don't have the computing capacity to use H.265, so H.264 is all good for me. Get this, the micro SD card that you're able to use is up to 256 gigabytes. That's right, 256, not 128 like the Mavic 2. Okay, you can go all the way up to 256. That's really nice because you can put on a big old card, slap it in there, and then you don't have to worry. I know a lot of people say, oh, you're supposed to use more than one card in case the card fails, but I've been using SanDisk cards, which I'll put in a link below, and I can say the SanDisk, I've never had one fail in 12 years of doing photography and cinematography. So maybe I'm lucky, but that's just my 2 cents for that. Now, looking at the specs, the one question I have is the audio. It says 48 kilohertz. I'm not sure exactly how good the audio is, but if you do have good audio, this could be huge because the Osmo Pocket is so darn small. All right, these are the dimensions in inches and millimeters. Less than 5 inches and weighing only 4 ounces or about 1/4 of a pound. I mean, this is so darn small. It's really great. And that's why a lot of people have been comparing it to the GoPro because of its size and all these functions that I'm talking about. All right, so it has 875 milliamp hour batteries, which is about 7.7 volts. And in layman's terms, that means it's gonna last about 1 hour and 40 minutes. And it takes 73 minutes to charge an empty battery. Now, if you live in an area where it's really, really cold or really, really hot, it's gonna be able to perform in temperatures from 32 degrees all the way to 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 to 40 degrees Celsius. Now, one thing I've noticed from DJI products in terms of temperature, you are able to push that a little bit. So if you wanted to use it in a little colder weather, on the freezing side, you could. Just be careful. You wanna make sure you keep like a heat pack around it and make sure it doesn't get too cold because you could damage the battery and damage the unit itself. But all you skiers, snowboarders, it could be a lot of fun to take around because then you can just throw it in your pocket and ski down the mountain and get really good first-person view shots where you're skiing down the mountain or you're snowboarding down the mountain, etc. As I mentioned in my previous video, you are going to be able to use a lot of accessories with the Pocket Osmo, much like the GoPro. Now, these accessories are specifically made for the Osmo Pocket. So if you already have an Osmo, unfortunately, you're gonna have to get new accessories for the Osmo Pocket. And I will include a link to the accessories in the description below. Some of these accessories include a waterproof case. It does have a waterproof housing, enabling you to use it underwater without distortion of that 80-degree field of view. A controller wheel, ND filter set, wireless module, extension rod, accessory mount, expansion kit, and a variety of cases and bags. Let's talk about the ergonomics or the way the Osmo Pocket was built. So if you look at it, you can see it has a little touch screen, which is nice. Now I don't have to use just my phone. You can use your phone, put the Osmo Pocket down like on a tripod or a little mount, and then I could film myself further away. So that's really nice that I can use it both with a phone, without a phone, and it has that nice little touch screen. Also, like the other Osmos and the Ronin S, I can use it in normal mode, in flashlight mode, and then in underslung mode. Also, the Osmo Pocket is so small for having a 3-axis gimbal, so that's great. It's super small, and you get that 3-axis gimbal in order to give you really smooth footage, whether you're walking, running, on a bike, or doing any other type of activity. Now, the active track is something I wanted to see in the other Osmos. The only Osmos that have it have been the Osmo Mobile 1 and the Osmo Mobile 2, but now they added it to the Osmo Pocket, which is a great feature. I don't know why they didn't put it in the other Osmos, but I'm really happy to see it in the Osmo Pocket. The active track is great for vloggers, for people like myself who make YouTube videos or travel videos and just want to point on either myself using an extension rod, or I could point on something else and I don't have to do anything. I just hold the Osmo Pocket and it does everything for me. It's kind of like a lazy man's way of shooting, but it really is effective and looks very smooth and professional. I also like the fact that using the active track, you don't have to really draw a square around someone like you had to do with DJI drones and the Osmo Mobile. So for the Osmo Pocket, all you have to do is just double click it and it will recognize you. It will recognize portraits, whether I'm pointing it in selfie mode at myself or I'm shooting a subject. So I can capture the image really quick. And this is great for running and gunning. As a vlogger or someone who shoots spontaneous videos, you don't want to be setting up a shot, doing all this stuff, all right? You want to get the shot quick, all right, before it leaves. So having that active track, I can just double click and I'll execute the shot without any fuss. Now with that said, if you use your phone, you're gonna have to use the Mimo app or Mimo. I'm not sure exactly still how you pronounce it. I think it's Mimo. And with this app, which is free on Google Play and Apple phones, you can just attach your cell phone, go into the Mimo app, and then use your finger to highlight the person or the object that you're tracking, and it'll track it for you. Again, on the touch screen, on the Pocket Osmo, you double click, but with your phone, you just make that square and the active track basically does the rest. One cool feature of the active track to mention is that it doesn't have to have the gimbal in center. It can move all around in any position. So no matter how you're holding the Osmo Pocket, it's still gonna follow the subject and be locked in. Now we're gonna talk about moving the gimbal around. I recommend you get the controller wheel, which costs $59. This is going to give you a lot of added functionality. So with the controller wheel, you can just tap this small little button next to the dial. In one of the modes, you can make the gimbal go up and down vertically, or you tap that little button to the side, and then you can make the gimbal go side to side. So having this controller wheel is really helpful. Now another way to move the gimbal up and down is just actually on the touch screen of the Osmo Pocket. On the right hand side, you can just use your thumb or your finger to move it up and down, and the gimbal will go up and down as so. Another thing that the controller wheel does, you can tap on the side button over here, and then it just goes into selfie mode. Tap it, it goes back to normal mode, which is great for vloggers, which I mentioned earlier. I know I'm mentioning a lot about vlogging, but this is a great vlogging camera. When you press on that middle button or that button to the left on the controller wheel, it's gonna go into the different shooting modes. Now you can go into the tilt mode, the FPV mode, or the follow mode. Now when you hold down that right button on the controller wheel, the gimbal is going to be locked in position. No matter where you move the gimbal, the head will stay perfectly still and will give you nice smooth shots. So basically that right button on the controller wheel is much like the Ronin S, the trigger in the back, or the trigger in the Osmo Mobile that you have to hold down to keep it stable. So once you take your finger off that button, then you lose all that stability that you had. It kind of goes everywhere a little loose. So in most cases, you're gonna wanna hold that button down. One thing to note, when you get that controller wheel, if that dial is not in the center, the gimbal head could drift. It could start moving. And this happens with other Osmos, and people think it's broken or there's a manufacturer error. No, it just needs a calibration. So if you get your Osmo Pocket and you attach the controller wheel and your head starts moving, the gimbal starts moving to the side without you doing anything, then you're gonna have to do a calibration. So you're gonna have to go into the little touch menu. So on the touch menu, you're gonna swipe down, and then you'll see a little icon for settings. You click on that. Then you're gonna scroll over to where it says accessories. You're gonna click on that, and then you're gonna click on dial calibration. Once you press that, it's gonna do that calibration so you won't get the head drifting off to the side. So it's just a quick troubleshooting error. So if you get this, don't freak out. That's how you fix it. As we know, Instagram has taken over social media and has its stories feature, which everyone seems to love. It seems to be going crazy now. So DJI is being pretty smart and trendy. It made a story mode function. So you can use this function to upload videos to Instagram, to Facebook, or to any other social media. It will shoot, edit, add music, and record onto your phone, and you can upload it. So it's basically all in one, no effort, no extra downloading and doing this and doing that. So if you want to shoot yourself doing any type of thing, like a fashion shoot, walking around, whatever you guys do while you're vlogging or just recording your life or your business, you can do that very quickly and easily in story mode. So let me explain. All right, so you have that little adapter on the side of the Osmo Pocket right above the record button. Then you can attach your cell phone. When you connect your phone to the adapter on the Osmo Pocket, the Mimo app is automatically gonna load. In the application, you just slide over to the right, and on the right side, in the lower right side, it's gonna say story. You're gonna click on that. But then you're gonna be able to choose from 4 different story modes: leisure, fashion, cut, and lively. After you choose one of these 4 modes, then you can start recording. When you record, the gimbal's automatically gonna go into that specific story mode and record the way it should, and then process everything, add music, and then download it right onto your phone so you can upload it to social media. So all your friends can give it a heart, a like, or whatever else you want. All right, next let's talk about pano mode. So shooting a panorama, you can do it With the Osmo Pocket, you don't need your phone. However, to view what you shot, you're gonna need to attach your phone. So you can do it with your phone attached, or you can do it with just the Osmo Pocket. But in order to view it, which you probably do, you're gonna eventually have to attach your phone. So on the touch screen, you just slide over, and then you're gonna choose pano on the bottom right there. And in the pano, you can do a 180, which will do a 180-degree photo. Just go around and take it, stitch it all together. Or you can do the 3x3. 3x3 means 9 photos total. So 3 here, 3 in the middle, and 3 on this side. And then it puts them all together, and then you get that pano. Now, like I said, in order to view it, you have to attach with the adapter your phone, and then you just go in and you can look at the photo then to see how it turned out. And then you can do the same thing with your mobile phone. In the Mimo app, you're gonna, on the bottom, you have all those settings. We talked about story mode before, but you can do pano mode, which is right next to it. Just press it and you have the option of doing 180 degrees or the 3x3. Now let's talk about time lapse and motion lapse. You can do this with the Osmo Pocket or with your phone. You can connect with the wireless module via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. The main thing you have to know is you have to either set it down on a flat surface or get this module to keep it nice and steady. But you can't move while you're doing a time lapse or a motion lapse, obviously, because your footage won't come out right. Now with the time lapse, you can adjust the interval, or every few seconds it's gonna take a photo, and then the amount of time that's gonna elapse. And it's gonna turn it all into a video. You can go 20, 30 minutes, whatever you wanna choose. But to do motion lapse, you're gonna have to physically move the head, the gimbal of the Pocket Osmo. So it's kind of like waypoints on a drone. Basically, you pick one point, you like it, you move the head manually, physically move it, pick another point, press the plus sign, move another point, press the plus sign on the screen. And so you have these different points. Once you like it, then you press go, and then it does it all for you. I actually recommend using this with your phone, because when you use your phone for the motion lapse, you're going to be able to press path, and then after you press the path button, you're going to be able to press the plus button. The plus adds new points where you want to move the head. So you move the head one position, you press plus to another position. You can also take any point, delete it, and then it goes back, and then you can put in a new point. So for instance, you move it over here, you don't like it, delete it, and set a new point just to get it exactly right. What I do like about this camera, I like that DJI added the FPV mode, because in FPV mode, you can shoot like a 360, kind of like the barrel roll with the Ronin S. You can just go all the way around, and it's gonna maintain that horizon based on where you are. It's not gonna try to go back to the center and lock in. But it's gonna do all of this with that 3-axis stabilization. All right, so now that we've talked all about the Osmo Pocket, if you decide to buy it, I'm gonna go quickly right now over activation, setting it up, so you have a kind of a quick start guide to get going with this mini stabilizer. So the first thing you want to do, charge your battery. On the front of the Osmo Pocket, there's 2 buttons. All right, you have your record button, the button next, which is a little red dot. Right next to it, there's another button. You just hold that down. When you hold it down, the Osmo Pocket's gonna freak out. It's gonna do that gimbal head calibration, move around like it's drunk. And when it's done with that, then it's powered on. Then you're gonna remove the little cover, and you're gonna put in your adapter and attach that little adapter to your cell phone. Before you attach your cell phone, make sure you download the DJI Memo App. You can download it both for Android and for Apple or whatever type of phone you have. And once you download that, then you're gonna have to attach your phone to the adapter. Once you attach it, go into the app. When you start the app for the first time, it's gonna say activation there. Just slide that over and press turn on upload device information and press next. Then you're gonna press login. Now you can either register for an account if you don't have a DJI account, or create a new DJI account. If you already have a DJI account that you wanna use, you can just use that by clicking on login. Then you're gonna press activation and just wait. And remember, you need your battery fully charged, and you need a good internet connection. If you don't have either of these, it could lead to some problems. Then you press done and you're all good. You're done activating the Osmo Pocket. After you activate the Osmo Pocket, then you're gonna wanna do a firmware update. So make sure you have an SD card on the side. You can't do it without an SD card in the side of the device. So after you put that in, then you're gonna press the right button on the Osmo Pocket to turn it on, connect your phone with the adapter, go into the Mimo app. In the top of the app, it's going to say new firmware available for download. You just click on that and just wait for it to download. Now make sure your battery is fully charged and make sure you have good Wi-Fi connection. So after you press download, you're going to have to also press install at the bottom to get the firmware to download properly. Once the firmware is fully installed, you can press complete. And what's nice about the Osmo Pocket is after you do a firmware, it will shut itself down and then turn on again. For other drones or DJI products, you basically have to turn the unit off and then turn it back on after you do a firmware update. Because if you were to do the firmware update and then just to start using it, it wouldn't work properly. You have to turn everything off and turn everything back on. But the Osmo Pocket does everything for you, which is great. Now, if you've already used an Osmo or another DJI product, the Mimo app should be pretty intuitive. However, I'm going to go over it briefly just to get you started. It's not too complicated, but here we go. All right, so all the shooting modes are on the right-hand side of the screen. You just slide it with your thumb or your finger, move it around. On the right side, that big circle, if it's white, it's for photos. If it turns red, that means it's taking video. So you can just switch it back and forth. You know, if white is photo, red is video. The little icon in the upper right-hand corner of the app is the selfie mode. So you just press that and then the gimbal will turn around and look right at you. And then if you want to go out of selfie mode, just tap that same icon again and it will go back to its original filming position. Okay, that icon right above the red or white circle is the recenter button. So when you press that button, the gimbal will go right back to center. So if you move the gimbal to the side and it's looking to the left or it's looking to the right or down or up, when you press that recenter, it's gonna go right back to the middle. Like I said before, that big round circle is to take photos or video. For video, you obviously press it, it starts the video, press it again, it stops the video. What's great is you can immediately go into active track mode by just highlighting the subject with your finger. So you make a little square on a person, an object, whatever, and then it automatically will follow that object or person all around. To stop the active track, all you do is that box that's around the subject is gonna have a little X in the upper right-hand corner. Here you're just gonna press that little X to exit out, and then you're back into normal mode. Like the DJI Go app and the DJI Go 4 app, in the lower right-hand corner, you have that little icon that you click on to review your videos or your photos. Of course, you can pick ones that you like, you can delete them, you can do whatever you like with them, and they're right there. Now, a really nice feature with this app is the fact that you can touch the screen in whatever direction you want the gimbal to move. So as soon as you touch the screen in that direction, that point where you want it to move, the gimbal will move in that direction, but it will do it in a very smooth and cinematic way. You can just tap wherever you want the gimbal to move and it will automatically move in that direction, which is pretty nice. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see your camera settings and the battery life. And the battery life is what's on the Osmo Pocket, which will last up to 140 minutes. Now, when you use the active tracker, you have the gimbal following something, you can adjust that speed. So you click on that icon, the gimbal icon, and you can adjust basically how the gimbal moves, whether you want it to move nice and smooth or you can have it move much faster. If you want to adjust your different camera settings, you click on that icon on the left hand side right here. Now if you wanted to go into more extensive video and photo features, you're going to press in the lower left hand corner and that's going to give you all your different camera settings. You can also see the battery life and how much space you have on your micro SD card when you just have the Osmo Pocket on. So it'll say it on the top and on the bottom, right on that little touch screen. So speaking of the touch screen, let's talk a little more about that to learn how to use all those settings very briefly. So what you do is you just swipe down with your finger on that touch screen and you're gonna come to your settings. Then you're gonna just swipe to the side, and as you swipe, you can go to beautify mode, gimbal settings, full screen mode, and brightness setting. Now when you swipe up with your finger, you're going to go into your gimbal quick settings. These quick settings include recenter, selfie, follow speed, FPV, follow, and gimbal lock. Now when you swipe left on your touchscreen, you're going to have a list of different shooting modes. After you choose the shooting mode that you want, then you're going to swipe to the left side, and then you can adjust the specific setting within that mode that you want. Perhaps an easier way is just to press that right button right below the screen. You just press that and then you can go into your different shooting modes as well. Now the button with the little red dot, you just press that and you're gonna be able to record photos or videos. When you're on that touch screen, you can swipe right to review what you've shot, to see all your different photos and your videos. Now when you want to turn off the Osmo Pocket, you just hold that button on the right hand side and it turns off. And then if you run out of battery, on the bottom you just plug in a cable and then you can start charging. The little light above the red dot button is going to blink on and off and you can see when it's done charging. Hot doggy, that was a long video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, press that like button. If you're interested in buying the Osmo Pocket or some accessories, I have links in the description below to make it convenient for you. And if you haven't done so, guys, please press that subscribe button so you get more videos like this about DJI equipment, about drones, about photography. And before I go, guys, remember, siempre pa'lante, nunca para atrás.